And now we're going to hear from Storelectric, infrastructure scale energy storage for affordable, reliable and resilient grids.
Thank you. My name is Mark Howitt. I'm Chief Technical Officer and co-founder of Storelectric, and this is what we're about. We're about enabling renewables to power the world affordably, reliably and resiliently. The challenge with the energy transition is that the world's power grids are moving to renewables. They are intermittent, demand is variable and baseload, and renewables don't provide grid stability. That is the very well-known aspect of storage, balancing the energy. But there is also a question of intermittency, of grid stability, because large power stations provide natural inertia which keep the grid stable. So the more intermittent generation we have, the more instability we're introducing into the system. And as you can see from this graph, this is the experience of the United Kingdom. Once you get over 16% penetration of renewable energy on the grid, your non-energy costs of running the system start to rocket. And they have rocketed by £3.5 billion, 4.5 billion euros in just 3 years since we passed the 16% threshold. And it's going up exponentially. That's the non-energy costs of running the system. So the solution is plants that deliver balancing services, ancillary services which are based on speed of response. Now these are what batteries offer. People think about storage as being about energy. Well, that's half the issue. The other half of the issue, the stability services, providing the natural inertia that keeps the grid stable. 3 years ago, in Britain, we had 1 million people blacked out because we were relying on synthetic inertia from batteries, which is not as good as the real inertia that you need from inertial plants. And we've had many near misses since then. You also need other services, such as black start, such as constraint management. And we need to deliver them at grid scale. It doesn't work if you're using distributed scale equipment because we're trying to replace hydrocarbons at a global scale. We need it to be at suitable scale and suitable duration. Having something that's going to last for an hour or two like a battery is not going to help us after sunset on a windless winter evening. When you need to power the entirety of the evening peak and overnight, the batteries will be exhausted by 6 o'clock in the evening. We need something bigger and longer duration than that can be put anywhere and near to both generation and demand. And this is the only study that has ever been put out using our storage figures for compressed air energy storage. All other CAES analyses use traditional compressed air energy storage. And as you can see, the capital costs of our plants are and will always remain less than half the price of any other technology for large-scale, long-duration energy.
I have a question for you, but I was very interested in Storelectric. It was very short, and I really wanted to know, I agree with you, renewable energy needs stability. The maturity of, where are you currently in your activity in UK? I mean, did you already establish your technology in UK, and how you plan to expand globally?
There are 2 plants in existence in the world, one in Germany, one in America, compressed air energy storage. Our technology is a simplification of those, which have been validated by Arup, Costain, Fortum, Mott MacDonald, Siemens, Mitsubishi, both of who, the last 2 say that they can build it with off-catalogue equipment. And Mitsubishi even offer EPC guarantees for a first of a kind. The technical risk is that low. Up till now, all the investors have wanted to invest in the second plant, so we haven't yet got a first one of our particular technology. But the first one will be commercially profitable and is the next reasonable step according to the European Union. So we are wanting to build that first plant which will be commercially profitable. Technical risk is so low that you can have an EPC guarantee on it.
And next question, what will be the cost operation of a plant?
For the first 40 megawatt, 200 megawatt hour plant, it's about £50 million, 60 million euros.
Okay.
Compressed air energy storage that you rightly pointed out has been there since the 70s, if I'm not mistaken, with very low efficiency due to heat and, let's say, losses in the process. What is so special in your technology which would, let's say, make us dream that this technology will be efficient?
We've got two basic technologies. One is diabatic, which basically wastes the heat of compression and burns gas during expansion. And the other one is adiabatic, which stores the heat of compression and puts it back in during expansion. We've cracked both processes with slight changes of processes that actually simplify the two existing plants rather than complicate them. It means that we can use off-the-shelf equipment rather than bespoke equipment. The diabatic one simplifies the Macintosh Alabama one, which moves the round-trip efficiency from 50% up to the low 60% and is retrofittable to suitably located existing power stations. The adiabatic one takes the heat of compression, puts it back in during expansion, burns no gas at all. And that increases the efficiency of the Huntorf one, simplifying it, from 42% up to 70% round-trip efficient, grid-to-grid lifetime average, which is much more efficient than you can get from a grid-connected battery. And by the way, the diabatic one is also dual-fueled. It can work on methane, hydrogen, or any mix of the two, so it will decarbonize as the grid decarbonizes. The adiabatic one is zero carbon from day one.
We are coming to the end of our Q&A. We have time for one more quick question.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just wondering by Storelectric about the availability of salt caverns. Do you have problems with that, or do you have good access?
All salt caverns are man-made. Very, very simple. You find a geological layer of salt, which are very plentiful. You drill a hole, pump in water, dissolve the rock, pump out the brine, and what's left is a cavern, and it's naturally airtight. So it is very simple to make these things around the world. You can make them for compressed air. We can also make them for hydrogen as well, hydrogen storage at large scale and high pressures. So there is no great restriction for a long time. When we've got some plants up and running, we'll have the resources to develop other geologies like aquifers, especially saline aquifers that are not drinkable, so that we can store much larger volumes and use areas that don't have salt geology.
So you're also planning about doing or crafting the salt caverns on your own and not using shutdown ones only?
We would use shutdown ones if they're available, especially for the small plants. For the large plants, we assume that we're making our own.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that's unfortunately all we have time for right now. Please make it